Former ANC Gauteng Chairperson Panyaza Lesufi and former NCOP Chairperson Amos Masondo have been announced as co-convenors in Gauteng for the newly reconfigured provincial task team. The announcement was made by ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula in Johannesburg yesterday. The newly appointed PTT will also be supported by a working committee. Mbalula says that the new members will focus on building structures and branches as the party gears up to the local elections. That's in 2026. For more on this ANC reconfiguration of KZN and Gauteng, we are joined in this, online by ANC National Spokesperson Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. Pleasure to have you. Thanks so much. I know we've got very little time to talk about such an important issue, but let me jump straight into it. Is this reconfiguration of ANC's Gauteng and KZN Provincial Executive Committee a confirmation that the ANC was sinking in these provinces after the dismal electoral performances?
Well, we can say yes, a categoric yes, because, and thank you for having us, Leon, because we undertook a diagnostic assessment post-elections, which really gave us a number of conclusions. But one of those conclusions, having made an assessment of what underlay the challenges that the ANC experienced in these two provinces, needed an urgent intervention. And we said, as the National Executive Committee, that not acting on reconfiguring the leadership collective is not an option. And so, indeed, part of why we are doing this, and we've just unveiled the two teams in the two provinces, is to really reclaim the space that we've always occupied in society, and by ensuring that these two provinces are well taken care of and that we have teams that work to lead the organization in these two provinces.
So give us an understanding of what the actual role of this provincial task team is. And I mean, this is basically replacing the Provincial Executive Committee now.
Yes, I mean, we've reinforced, for example, just as I speak about the role, we've reinforced it in the form of bringing in quite a diverse range of ANC talent. You would see in that list, you have the likes of Firoz Kachalia, you have the likes of Trevor Fowler, you have the likes of Mandla Mkomfe, a number of people who are quite accomplished in their different disciplines, but also who have led the ANC excellently in the previous years. And some of the immediate tasks, one of which is to go back to rebuilding our branches by auditing all of our structures in the province to ensure that we have a thriving organization on the ground, because the strength of the ANC has always been on the ground. They also, of course, have got to take care of our role in governance, both in municipalities as well as in the provincial executive, as well as in the provincial government, and to take care of the legislature, where, of course, we occupy quite a very strong role, as well as in the executive. So the mandate is very clear. It's to strengthen where we are strong, but is to go through a thorough process of overhaul of the areas where we haven't done so well, having a good strategy for municipalities, for example, rescuing municipalities that are not functioning optimally. And that is why we've brought in this Brains Trust that I've just referred to, examples that I've just referred to. We have individuals such as Lisa Seftel, the recent executive director of Netlec. And all of these are ANC cadres with wealth of experience. So we expect them to go to branches, go to all the 5 regions in Gauteng. We expect them to put in place a clear program of action, which will be unveiled next week once these two teams have undergone the strategic planning exercise that has been directed to by the Secretary-General.
Yeah, we heard Fikile Mbalula yesterday, the SG, giving us explanations as to why he's brought in some of these, or why the party's decided to bring back some of the stalwarts, bringing in experience, bringing in all these kind of issues that you hope would bring stability into these different areas. However, there are still claims that these reconfigurations are influenced by presidential succession plans and the debates within the ANC. I mean, can you confirm or deny this? Because I suppose many people are asking this question.
No, it certainly has to be denied, Leanne. Last year, the National Executive Committee put out a document called Leadership Perspective, which was basically guiding all our structures to hang 10 and not focus on the 2027 conference of the African National Congress, but to focus on the task at hand. So all of our members know exactly that this is a secondary matter at this point. Our focus is on rebuilding the ANC, and as well as preparing the machinery to fight the upcoming local government elections in 2026. And we are confident that with this reinforced team, bringing in the veterans of the organization, to bringing in level-headedness in terms of how we treat and engage with the people of South Africa, particularly in these two provinces. In KwaZulu-Natal, for instance, you have to have very sound working relationships with Amakosi and faith-based formations and other sectors of society. This requires a leadership that understands how the ANC became what it became in South Africa. It is precisely because it was able to work with a cross-section of society, including opposition groups, because after all, the interest should be the national interest. And the ANC was formed to unite the people of South Africa. On this year, the 70th year of the anniversary of the Freedom Charter, we want to go back to that kind of character of the ANC. And what better way to do this than to start in these two very strategic provinces in our economy, as well as their contribution to the country's GDP. These are the most populous provinces. And this, if you fix these two, you're likely to really have a strong showing both in the elections. And we're very, very determined to reclaim that lost ground, and we needed to reinforce the team for that to happen.
Very quickly, and unfortunately, as I say, we've just, I'm so sad we don't have the time here, but I mean, given some of these outgoing leaders who haven't been picked to be a part of this, they're very powerful leaders, and one would imagine that there are going to be a lot of pushbacks and repercussions of not including them.
Well, if you look at the model that has been used by the National Executive Committee, it is quite a unifying model, and very much a number of those that have served in the previous Provincial Executive Committee before this reconfiguration, part of this team, playing different roles or assigned to different responsibilities. But it is very much a blending of what's been there to ensure that there is continuity as well as change. So we're quite confident that there's no basis for anyone to believe that this has been a punitive measure. You have to take decisions if you're a leadership in order to restore what needs to be restored. And of course, not to do away with the great work that's been happening. For example, in government, we believe that the provincial government under the leadership of Panyaza, Lesufi, who's been retained as a co-convener, also in that spirit of a unified approach, has been doing quite well. It's important that we have a strong ANC to reinforce the work that is done in government and to keep our deployees accountable to the policies of the ANC in terms of the work that they do in government. And so, you know, we are marching on. We are going to ground now. We're going to take all our structures, all our branches through political development and political education. We're going to ensure that we ramp up our communications and engagement in the battle of ideas in society. Much of that intellectual repository, thought leadership exists in these two provinces, and we want to provoke that. And we have a number of our members who operate in these spaces where we engage in the battle of ideas in society. And
Mahlengi,
so it's about really rebuilding the ANC.
Thank you. I'm loath to leave it there, but I have to. But thank you for joining us for just a quick look into these reconfigurations. Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri is the ANC national spokesperson.